What is up, everybody? Welcome into this Wednesday episode of Flippin Bats, where we got a great guest and a good friend of mine, Nicky Lopez of the Atlanta Braves. Going to talk to Nicky all about being traded midseason from the Royals to the Atlanta Braves, and now to be in the midst of this playoff push and popping bottles for the first time in his career. And of course, the historic game he played in the first start with the Atlanta Braves. He pitched, he hit, and Brian Snitker rewarded him. And Brian Snitker likes giving out gifts when somebody helps him out. And talk to him all about Ron Washington, who I'm a big fan of and great with his infielders. And now Nicky, as an elite defender in the game, gets to work with Ron Washington every single day. And just some great stories told here, some really good conversations about baseball as a whole. And Nicky's a really, really good dude. So I'm excited for everybody to hear this one. Without further ado, let's welcome in now infielder for the Atlanta Braves, Nicky Lopez.
Fly ball onto the track, at the wall, it's gone! Home run!
Turns on a ball, deep right field, and gone!
What a game, what a moment. All right, and I'm pumped to be joined now by my good friend, Nicky Lopez, infielder for the Atlanta Braves. Nicky, pumped to have you, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man. It's always fun getting on here.
It is always fun, man. And I want to talk about this season first for you as a whole. What a wild season for you, starting in Kansas City, where you've spent your entire career, and then the trade deadline gets here, and you're traded right at the deadline to the Atlanta Braves. What was going through your head that day? Were you expecting it all to be traded, or was it a shock?
It was one of those things that, so each year, I guess once I reached arbitration, or the year before arbitration, but once I kind of got in arbitration, you kind of heard the talks, like your name swirling around every trade deadline. This was my 5th trade deadline, so I was like, maybe this year's the year. I wasn't playing too much. I was in a utility role with the Royals, and so I kind of had a feeling maybe this year was the year, because just the direction of where the team is going with the Royals, obviously a rebuild, playing a lot of the young guys, which I understood. So It was one of those things where I could catch myself maybe being a utility player for a winning team, a team that needs one right now. And so this year was a little bit of a different feel to it. So I kind of thought maybe this might be the year.
What are your thoughts going through your head when you're with the Royals? You don't know where you're going to be traded or if you're going to be traded. And then all of a sudden it's to the Atlanta Braves in the midst of a historically good season. And I know you're extremely appreciative of the Royals and giving you a chance and all of your time there, but it hasn't been a great year for the Royals this year for a couple of years. And now to mid-season be traded to the best team in baseball. How pumped up were you?
Yeah, it was, so when it first happened, just knowing that this could be the year that I got traded, obviously, you create a ton of relationships, you create a ton of relationships with the guys. I've been there since 2016. So I owe a lot to them, and, they allowed me to live out my dream in 2019. But it was one of those things. It was, obviously given where they're going and where, then I get traded. And when I heard the Atlanta Braves, it was, I got pumped, and It was one of those things. It was, I couldn't really look back anymore. Those guys over there know that, I care about them deeply, but It was one of those things. It's like, I gotta go to this ball club. I gotta give whatever I can, whether it's, a pinch running situation, late inning, defensive situation, whether it's giving some guys off days, I got to give them my best, and, kind of try to fit right in, and because they're unbelievable.
It's been almost 2 months since you've been there. You've been there for a couple months now. And I mean, just as a whole, how awesome has this experience been? I mean, you were there when playoffs were clinched, division was clinched, now on the cusp of playoffs. Just how would you summarize so far your time in Atlanta?
It's been, I can't even put into words. It's been unbelievable. They greeted me with open arms, starting from the front office, to then down, the coaches to the players. They all took me in, treated me like family right from the start, treated, my fiance Sydney, like family, they do an unbelievable job here, taking care of the families. And it's been surreal. I've learned so much already being here the first 2 months than I have, you know, and being able to work with Ron Washington every single day has been a treat. Just picking his brain, he's got so much knowledge of the game. He's been around for a really long time, so just picking his brain, and then also, all of our coaches have played too, so they've seen it all. Walt Weiss and Snit
Yeah.
and Sites, and just kind of you can go down the line. Eddie Perez, Sal Fasano, like we got so many guys who have been there, who've played, who've won World Series, and then coming here and I'm obviously not playing as much, but just kind of filling in when needed. But going down in the cages and watching Acuna hit and watching Olsen hit and Riley, the way they go about their business, there's just so much knowledge to pick up from. So it's been unbelievable.
When you're watching those guys hit, who has the most pop between those three? Just raw pop. Acuna, Olsen, Austin Riley. Who are you taking?
Raw pop. It's crazy because I think Matty O.
Yeah.
Just when he hits a majestic home run, it's like wow. It's just so smooth, the lefty swing, and it's just but the stuff that obviously Austin is having an unbelievable season, but the stuff that Acuna does, when we were at Dodger Stadium and he hit a ball, I think it was like 121 at 15.
I was at that game.
Yeah, and at 18 or 15, and it went out in center field. I'm like, I've never seen that before. So the stuff that he does is incredible.
There's a lot of really, really good players on that team everywhere you look. And I feel like from the outside and, knowing a couple of them, but just from experiencing the team and seeing them, there's so many good personalities on that team. And now you're on the inside. Who are some of the guys that you were not expecting to walk in that locker room, but they're just like, lighten up the locker room? They're hysterical, love being around, keep the locker room loose.
Love me some Charlie Morton. Charlie's awesome. Everyone loves Charlie. Charlie keeps it super light. He's just that father figure around that everyone kind of looks up to. Orlando Arcia keeps it really light. Him and Charlie go back and forth, which is awesome. But like you said, it's a giant family here. That's one thing that I did pick up on. Everyone's rooting for each other. You've been in clubhouses where maybe the Latin players hang with the Latin players and the Americans, and it's just the way that the game is. And we all hang together. We all go to dinner together.
Wow, that's cool.
That's the one thing that I've noticed, right from the start, is that everyone's rooting for each other. Everyone's pushing in the right direction. All it takes is one player to go the wrong direction. It can derail the whole team. And, we're all pushing in the right direction, which is something special. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that probably wouldn't understand that. And I just think it's natural in a clubhouse as you walk in and, half the locker room, you got half those guys, half the Latin guys on one side and the Americans on the other side, and all love and respect each other. But it's not often you find a locker room where they're all really close and going out to dinner together and all hanging out together. And that's really cool for sure. But Nicky, your first start with the Atlanta Braves, I mean, historically good, 4 hits, 5 RBIs, a 3-run homer in the top of the 9th, and you pitched a scoreless bottom of the 9th. First player ever to do that. What was going through your head after that game ended?
So they told me the night before, hey, you're going to play shortstop in the first game of the doubleheader. And I was like, oh, awesome. I finally get to play, finally get to start. I think prior to that, I've been up for 2 weeks, but all I had was a pinch run. So I was like, oh, sweet. I get to play. And then, the first at bat, I got a double, and I was like, oh, I'm feeling pretty good. And then the second at bat, I got a single, and I'm like, okay. And it kind of was just unfolding. And I was like, it was kind of unfolding. And then it was just okay, then I got another hit, and then I got the home run. Even though it was off a position player, it still all counts. You know what I mean? Yep. So, but then to save the bullpen, they were asking has anyone ever pitched? I actually have pitched. So then I found myself on the mound in the 9th, and I'm like, wow, this is I didn't know any of like the records or anything like that, but I was like, man, this is a hell of a first game.
I mean, it was remarkable. And then the game ends, and Nikki and I, we're all in a group chat together with some close friends. And you get back in the locker room, and just immediately you're like, "What? I just blacked out. That was incredible."
Exactly. It was one of those things that was just kind of everything was clicking. I was just flying around, and then afterwards, I finally got to take a deep breath and was like, wow, that was cool.
If you had to choose right now, one two-way player to start a team with, are you taking yourself or Shohei Ohtani?
That's a really tough one.
Yeah.
Shohei's good and all, but like, I don't know. I think I put together a pretty good resume.
I mean, how many outs has he gotten in the ninth inning this year? I feel
Right,
like
exactly.
you've gotten some big outs in the ninth inning.
I might have to be in those, whatever he's getting in free agency, I might have to be kind of close to that.
Absolutely. I agree. Get Nicky the same contract as Shohei. Snicker made a comment before about him getting you like a gift every time you pitch. Is this true? What is this about?
So yeah, he's unbelievable, by the way. We have a lot of Kansas City ties. He knows a lot of people I know with Ned Yost and stuff like that. So coming here was kind of a seamless transition. Like it was very easy, but he's been unbelievable. And so after I pitched, he came up to me and was like, what do you drink? And I was like, I like tequila and I like wine, and I've gotten into tequila, and because he was like, I get gifts for people who help me out. And he doesn't usually like throwing position players, and but if it can help out our bullpen, if it could save a bullpen, that's something that I'm willing to do. So he got me a nice bottle of tequila, and then a nice bottle of wine the second time. So
I mean, that's actually really cool for him to say, like, I like getting gifts for people that help me out. Like, that's a manager understanding how to take care of his players.
Exactly, right, exactly. And it's easy. So when you see a manager care about a player that way, it's easy to play for a manager like that. So
yeah, Nicky, since you've come up to the big leagues, really, you've been one of the best defenders in the game of baseball. If you look at metrics, if I use my own eyes, maybe I'm a little biased, but I feel like you're one of the best defenders in the game. And it's a huge part of, I think, why you're in Atlanta and why they wanted you there, and why you have a lot of success in this league. But what would you say separates elite defenders in the game from the rest of the field?
yeah, I mean, so I've always, even going back to Creighton, I've always hung my hat on defense. Working with Ed Service, but I think just kind of reading swings, being able to read swings. I've gotten pretty good at that the past 2 to 3 years. Just kind of reading swings where anticipating where the ball is going to be hit before it even happens, and then obviously your path to the ball, not playing it into another hop, going and getting the hop. Actually, Ron is big on angles. Almost like a V. You want to go that way or that way. You never want to go back, unless you have to. So kind of just understanding angles, not it's not geometry, but it kind of you kind of need to understand angles to be a good infielder. You got to have good feet, got to have a good momentum going to the target. But it's one of those things that what has really, really helped me, and I know a lot of the elite defenders, is reading swings, knowing what pitch is coming, being able to look in, whether the catcher's putting down signs or if it's on the pitch com, knowing what's coming and kind of just anticipating that, oh, this batter might get around this ball, or if it's a sinker in, the ball might be coming my way, so I have to kind of go to the right a little bit, and kind of all that goes in. So if you're not thinking about that stuff, I think you're selling yourself short, and I don't think you can reach your potential.
I know you've mentioned him a couple times, but I'm rocking his shirt. I love Ron Washington. I feel like Ron Washington is one of the best guys, one of the biggest baseball guys around, and has so much fun doing it. And I hear so much about his routine and everything he puts his infielders through. How awesome has it been getting to work with Ron Washington?
It's been unbelievable, because obviously, it has really helped being in the big leagues for 5 years before coming here. Obviously playing against Matty O and Austin and Acuna and all them, but Ozzy and just playing against him, but coming here and just knowing about Ron and just then being able to work with him. He doesn't allow us to take a day off, and he said if you're not out here doing your we call it wash drills. If you're not doing your wash drills, or if you're not out on the field doing work on when you're not playing, obviously a day off here and there of taking ground balls, but if you're not out here doing wash drills every single day, he's like, you better have a pretty damn good excuse of why you're not doing it. And so holds us accountable, but it's crazy, how old he is, how long he's been in the game, and to be able to have the energy that he has coming out every single day and doing these drills with us. It could have been, obviously August in Georgia is hot, and he's out there every single day doing it with his fungo. And I also never seen someone with use a fungo the way that he does too.
Well,
so
how? What does he do?
Well, just being able to put a ball wherever he wants.
Yeah.
With the fungo is insane, and he always makes the joke. He goes, "There's not one damn coach out here that has their signature on a fungo like I do." So he always shows us a fungo every time he makes has a good hit, and he's like shows us his name on his fungo. That guy has so much energy, man. It's fun. We're trying to get him an Oreo deal. The guy loves Oreo. I'm probably telling some secrets here, but he loves Oreos.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to get Wash an Oreo deal. So if you can help him with that.
That would be great. Like as we head into the playoffs, you just see Ron Washington in an Oreo commercial, and then you see him. That'd be incredible. Yeah. All right. We need to make that happen. Ron Washington Oreo deal. Is he I feel like from just seeing him I remember him with the Rangers and being the manager there throughout the playoffs and how excited he would get around the game. And now like watching him dance around in the dugout, it almost feels like Ron Washington is like one of the guys just like in an older man's body.
Exactly. That's exactly it. He's always dancing around. He spends, from before the game, during the game till during the game, he's around us the whole time. He's not in the locker room. He's not just sitting in front of his locker. He's down on the field where we all come out and we sit around him. If someone's doing a wash drill, like we're all sitting around watching him. And he is one of the guys. And his relationship with Ozzy Albies is something pretty special. Just being here for this short time, watching them interact, he loves himself some Ozzy, and it's pretty cool to see them interact with each other. And but like I said, it just goes back to how close of a family we all are.
It does seem like hearing you say he doesn't really accept, you better have a good excuse if you're not doing them. I mean, as you know, the entire Atlanta Braves infield was at the All-Star game. And the guys were like out there on the field doing them then. Like it almost feels like he has found a way to not make it feel like work and to just make it feel like, oh, well, there's a baseball game to be played. I need to do this to get ready. And then you look around and the whole Braves infield is really talented defensively. It feels like they've all bought into what he's doing. And I guess I've seen it a few times. Does it start with like on the knee and the small glove? Is that all part of the wash drills?
Yeah. So it goes, knee, and then with the small glove, and then he hits it with a fungo, and then it's like he rolls a small baseball, and then he hits it with the fungo, and then you go on with a paddle, and then your regular glove and backhand, forehand. Yeah, it's a whole process. And he after my first time doing it, he was like, "How many ground balls do you think you got?" And I was like, probably like 50, maybe 55, and he was like, "No, you got 97."
Oh my God.
I was like, geez, he has it down to a T. So
does he know that that's how, like, is it always 97, or was he counting your balls every time all the way up to 97?
Oh, he know, like that's his like thing.
Okay.
It's either 97 or 98. I forgot, but it's that every single time. And the only time that we would either go over is if he with his fungo hits like a line drive and we catch it instead of being a short hop. When we catch it, he gets pretty fired up about that.
We're just a couple days away from the playoffs. The Braves, 6 consecutive division titles, absolutely rolling. Been, after the first month of the season, pretty much been the best team in baseball all year long. With this team and in the locker room, what is the talks and what is the goal? Is it to win the World Series? Is it a series by series approach? Like what did Snitker talk to the team about that night you guys accomplished the goal of winning the division?
Yeah, he just told us, and I think there's a video out there. He just told us this is just a small step of where we want to go. We can't lose sight of our end goal, and that's the World Series. And obviously, this is my first time, getting into the playoffs, popping bottles, whatever it is. But this is one of those things that they've stressed right when we got here. Is like, this is not. We're not just trying to, we're not just trying to win the East. We're not just trying to, get into the playoffs. We're trying to do everything. We're trying to, obviously clinch home field advantage. We're trying to, get to the CS and then get to the World Series and then win the World Series. Like that's what we're trying to do, and that's the end goal. And they've kind of instilled in our heads that if we are trying to settle for anything less than that, we're selling ourselves short. So
yeah,
the direction of this team is pretty remarkable.
Nicky, how was that first experience popping bottles? Win the division, popping bottles, off day the next day. I mean, it had to be rowdy.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Obviously, with the end goal like in mind, still just like of winning the World Series, it was under control, obviously. But the funny thing that I was told was that don't put your goggles on. You want to be able to feel the first the burn of your first popped bottle. So I was just wearing champagne. But it was awesome. Just kind of being able to go to the locker room, celebrate with the team. Kind of had a whole thing of, we got to celebrate, we got to, all hang out, play music, obviously. And I've only been here for a half a year, but it felt like I was here for the whole year. Like it was
That's
that cool and that's special. And yeah, I want to do it again. It's kind of like one of those feelings that it's like, all right, when's the next time we could do that?
That's really cool. Nicky, appreciate you coming on, man. This has been a lot of fun. Good luck the rest of the way. And maybe in a couple of weeks, I'll see you in the playoffs.
Oh, no doubt, dude. Always good to see you. Let's play COD soon.
Let's play COD soon. All right, buddy. See ya. All right. Thanks again to Nicky Lopez for joining me. A great conversation with a really, really good guy. And I agree. We should get Nicky a contract similar to Shohei Ohtani for what they both do as two-way players, as elite two-way players in the game of baseball, for sure. But I hope you all enjoyed this one. Nicky's about to get underway with the Braves and the playoffs here in just a couple days, and to go from the Royals to the Braves. And this season is quite the turnaround for him. And I'm really, really pumped that he's in the position he is right now. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to your podcast. Hit that follow, subscribe button. And we're also on all social media, including YouTube, where you can watch every single thing we do at Flippin Bats Pod for all the social media. But that does it for this Wednesday episode. We will be back tomorrow with our live Thursday episode. Until then, my friends, peace.